And every time we watch humans play, it is humans versus stack of removal. Look at these other choices. Look at how much mid-range. So Steven's blue-black mid-range. These are some wild deck choices. Zach Allen's on Stoneblade. Not two-color, just straight blue-white Stoneblade. Raza Sulaiman's on Sultai mid-range.
Yeah, this deck, it's starting to crop up a little bit. It's a proactive Jace the Mind Sculptor
Okay,
shell.
I was going to ask, generally like three-color black-green decks are just, why would you not play Bloodbraid Elf? And the answer is 3 Jace?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're curving out with some early discard spells, your Thoughtseizes, your Inquisition, 3 of each of those. 4 Fatal Push. There's also 3 Spreading Seas in this list, which is a little intriguing. That one I'm a little less sure of, but then we're curving into Liliana of the Veil. Obviously, we have Tarmogoyf, and then Jace the Mind Sculptor, 3 copies on the 4 slot.
Okay, so Collins, no Aether Vial, turn 1, just a basic Plains, and Raja, he'll get to figure out what's up with a fetch for Thoughtseize. And let's see what we're looking at.
Bunch of creatures, if you can
well,
believe
that's like
that.
all the deck is. Of course, it's second land, Meddling Mage, Kitesail Freebooter, Thalia, and 2 lieutenants. 2 of her lieutenants backing her up, as they would.
Thalia, probably the most intimidating card. Depending what the contents of the hand are, you might have to go for the Freebooter. The combination of Freebooter Meddling Mage can break up a lot of hands.
Yeah, so if you can't beat that 1-2 punch, you might have to do something about it. If you have 2 more removal spells, you can just take something else, Collins will freeboot you, and then you just kill the Freebooter.
The mana is not great for Collins' hand. You see a second land and then just 5 spells that cost 2.
Yeah, he can cast them all.
Right. The hope is that the first 2 drop really impedes Raja's ability to play the game at all.
Yeah, the hard part, Ryan, is that, so do you want to draw more 2 drops because you're against a kill spell deck, or do you want to draw lands 3 and 4? Like land 3 without 4 is terrible.
Yes. Kind of want to draw like Noble Hierarch into land.
This is unexpected. Raja took Meddling Mage.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. I estimate that to be worse than Thalia and Freebooter.
That was the 2, yeah.
And if his hand is just like 3 Fatal Push, that makes some sense.
We see Thalia being cast. Now, Raja does have a Fatal Push. So as long as he has an untapped land, this is fine. He'll keep pace. No worries.
He does not have much diversity in removal spells, just in the deck in general. It's 4 Push, 2 Abrupt Decay, a Dismember, and then a Maelstrom Pulse and a Murderous Cut. But they're all very light numbers. 1-ofs for all of those that aren't the 2 Decay or the 4 Push.
So Botanical Sanctum untapped and a pass. There's an interesting timing issue here with Raja. So he could take 2 damage, then post-combat Freebooter, Fatal Push in response. That costs him 2 damage. He could prevent the damage by Fatal Pushing here, which is what he's going to do. But that means if Collins drew another Thalia, Raja's punished.
Sure, Thalia is an issue, though. Getting that push out is nice because we have a 3rd land and a Snapcaster Mage in the hand.
Yeah, we see on the side of Raja, we have Snapcaster Mage, Spreading Seas, 2 more lands.
Yeah, the cards that the Freebooter can take here, they're just no good. It's just a Thoughtseize and a Spreading Seas. Neither of those matter at all.
Yeah, the Thoughtseize actually is still live right now. It's probably better than Spreading Seas,
just
right?
like both of them are very bad. Collins' hand is a bunch of 2-mana creatures. You just have to play on the battlefield.
Well, how about that for a draw? Liliana of the Veil, and I don't know if you can cast it on curve. He's got Creeping Tar Pit.
Gross.
Well, when you're playing Sultai, it's... Yeah, Breeding Pool, Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah, the mana base is actually a little weird here. Going for Botanical Sanctum, there's a Blooming Marsh.
3 Tar Pits, that's so many. I guess
I don't mind the Tar Pit. The fast lands Tar Pit's a little weird.
So here's Breeding Pool. He shocks for it, but you can't. And then says go.
At instant speed, you have Snapcaster, Fatal Push.
Okay, here we go. And suppose you're not going to push the Freebooter. So the idea is you Snapcaster, Fatal Push something, untap. Well, actually, you can't Liliana the other thing because you still don't have the untapped black.
That's an issue.
3 mana. What did Collins pick up? How about Mantis Rider? Very nice pickup. Swing. Snapcast, Fatal Push is going to be cast anyway. Gets back the Thoughtseize. Will go down to 12 on the swing. Raja really wants to draw untapped black here.
Yes. Wants to find that second swamp.
Can he do it? Big draw. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Not even castable. So now he has a problem where next turn he can cast both his walkers, but cast neither of them this turn. That's a miss.
It wants the Spreading Seas to produce another removal spell, though there's not a ton of them in the deck.
Spreading Seas is just not good here.
Yeah, he's not playing counter spells. This is a heavy discard build, so turning off Cavernous Souls doesn't really matter.
Yeah, picks up a card off Spreading Seas. So he's locked in for 3 more damage. He's behind the curve on creatures. What you want is they play a creature, you kill it. But when you're behind, that dynamic still happens, but you take damage each time. Thoughtseize, the hand has 3 Thalia's Lieutenants. So, okay. We'll
take one of those.
Yeah. Tar Pit tapped. Pass. Hand is Liliana, Jace, Misty Rainforest. Is that... Yeah, the Misty Rainforest was drawn off the Spreading Seas. That's why we didn't see a better turn.
Yeah. Would have been much better to get online with Liliana. 2
more Lieutenants. That was the 4th land from Collins. He'll play out the rest of the hand. Swing for 5. Raja down to 5.
Yeah, fully half of the life total. And now Raja, I guess, he can chase and bounce the Rider, but the Rider just has haste.
Yep. That is the play he has, is Jace bounce Mantis Rider.
Picked up Serum Visions. He can look for something.
You have to fetch to look for Serum Visions, and you are at 5. So if you fetch to 4, the problem is that 1/1 Thalia's Lieutenant is going to be lethal.
I mean, you can just never use that mana.
Well, no, just like it's immediately lethal, right? So you bounce Mantis Rider, you go to 4.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is just just pretend you don't have that land in your hand.
Yeah, the land's just not there.
Yeah, just cast the Visions. You're never shuffling because it leaves you dead. It's not you're not doing much with this amount of mana.
So I'd hang on to the fetch because I don't know. You're probably just losing.
I think he's already lost the game.
Well, there's a possible, Ryan, that if this Serum Visions just hits a home run, let's say Serum Visions finds him a Fatal Push because he just triggered Revolt. And if he searches for another black source and he comes up with Serum Visions into Fatal Push, kill your Mantis Rider, play Liliana, sack a creature, chump block the Thalia's Lieutenant, Collins draws a land. Like, we did it. It's ugly, but we did it.
You can't Liliana and Fatal Push.
No, you have to fetch Shock for black.
Sure.
You'd have to go to 2.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
You'd fetch Shock for black and then just jam the Serum Visions and be like, I need the perfects.
Yeah, he didn't find it.
No, he brainstorms with Jace into some things that he's going to die with in his hand.
Yep.
Yeah, the out I was talking on is some really low percenter because it wasn't just him drawing the perfect card on top. Also, Collins had to hit a land, and even then we were at 2.
Yeah, the game's just not even over if that happens.
Right, that's how we get to keep playing.
Yeah.
But it was there. Raja's going to pick up the cards. Collins Mullen on humans takes game 1 over Sultai midrange. Sure, it's against a kill spells deck, but he keeps him off balance for just long enough.
Yep. And post-sideboard, things should get a good amount better for Raja.
All right, well, we will look at that when we come back with game 2 after this message. So game 1 went the way of Collins Mullen. Now Raja Sulaiman Sultai mid-range. In a lot of ways, it's going to be like a Jund deck, but instead of playing Terminates and Bloodbraids and Bolts, you decide that you would like Jace's Spreading Season counter spells. Depending on the matchup, I can get that. I think in this matchup, you probably prefer the red cards.
Yes.
But so you imagine you have a similar idea about sideboarding, but your options are different.
Right. And kind of the issue with 2 of your colors being blue and green, you don't get access to more 1-mana removal spells.
No.
So you go over the sideboard, there's 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Counter Squalls, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, 2 Obstinate Baloth, an Abrupt Decay, a Collective Brutality, a Disdainful Stroke, a Liliana the Last Hope, and a Tireless Tracker. So the Abrupt Decay, the Engineered Explosives, these are the best cards, and Explosives a fair amount better than Abrupt Decay on top of that.
Yeah. I'm going to go and say, I don't know that any of the blue cards in his 75 are good in this matchup. I don't have any that I like.
Serum Visions.
No, he's playing Thalia. No, I don't like it.
Sure, I mean, you want it on turn 1, but yeah, it's not good against Thalia.
Yeah, all 2 copies of it.
Yes.
Right.
Liliana the Last Hope's fine in the matchup. But yeah, the sideboard, the upgrades are pretty minor. Collective Brutality is another card you have to bring in.
Yeah, it can kill something.
Obstinate Baloth, I think he might reach for them, but they're not that good.
Right, I mean, the problem is that you need to board out, like, on 4 mana, would you rather have Jace the Mind Sculptor or Obstinate Baloth here?
Obstinate Baloth.
Okay, if that's true, like, we're already boarding out the Spreading Seas.
And the Thoughtseize.
And the Thoughtseize. And the Inquisition. So that's 8 cards. Or maybe some. Okay.
Inquisition, I'm fine with.
All right, that's 5. 5 cards already before I even touched the Jaces.
Yeah.
So and that's all your removal spells. So if you're like Jace for Baloth might just happen.
Here come the 4-mana 4/4s.
You know, that's not that bad. It's like
pretty bad.
You know what? Against Death and Taxes, I like Obstinate Baloth because they actually just can't beat it up.
Yeah,
I feel
their creatures don't get better over time.
They're bad and are always bad.
Yeah.
So then which makes it even worse when you lose to them. It's like your creatures weren't good when you played them, and then they kept not being good, and then I lost.
I don't know.
And I'm so frustrated by your stack of basic planes.
I don't know. Anybody beats a Flicker Wisp. That's a powerful deck.
Game 2 underway. More good news. Teammate Austin Collins with Sultai Constrictor wins Game 1 over Steven Dykman.
That's impressive.
Yeah. You know, Sultai, I think, actually has... I'm okay with that matchup. It can go either way. Like, if they curve out with the right things, you lose. But the cool part about Sultai Constrictor is if they miss a spot on the curve, you punish them pretty well for it.
Yeah, you're asking the questions.
Yeah.
Now, the games that you lose, some of them are just not fun at all.
Yeah, if there's like remove everything as you play it, and then they just cast a Scarab God, and then you don't kill it, you lose. It's kind of boring.
So this is another thing that it just kind of snowballs the fact that we're on blue, green, black versus playing one of the either red or white.
Okay.
Is that Raja's Engineered Explosives also get worse.
Why is that?
Because you just have to use it more proactively. As soon as you're able to hit something, you kind of have to hit it with that. Whereas when you have access to more cheaper removal spells, you don't have to expose it just yet. Now, luckily, he also produced Collected Brutality here, so he has to go for that and still disguise the explosives. You want to find a spot where you can explosives for 2 things.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is, I remember you used to say Wrath of God gets better when you have spot removal.
Right.
Because then you get to force them to play into it, and if all you have is sweepers, then your sweepers turn into 1-for-1s.
Yeah. If you just are casting 1 creature into my Lightning Bolt Snapcaster Mage deck, I'm going to catch it. So you try to play 2 creatures.
And then you verdict.
And then I tag you with the explosives, the Wrath.
Yeah.
And he did get 2 creatures here.
He got 2, so it was Champion of the Parish, Noble Hierarch from Collins. Raja's turn 3 is explosives on 1, crack. It's a 2-for-1. It's good for Raja. Now, one of those 2 was Noble Hierarch, which is only kind of a card in this matchup. Like a turn 2 Noble Hierarch, isn't completely a thing. Collins' response is good, though. 3rd mana and Mantis Rider. He's done a great job of asking questions here. So far, though, Raja's had the answers.
Yeah, if Hierarch was just the only 3rd mana source, that explosives would have been a much bigger swing. But because Collins can just start casting Mantis Riders, Collins' spot's still pretty strong.
And we're seeing a punishment here of the fact that Raja's, because he doesn't have red cards, he has to play more cards like Collective Brutality. Look at this turn. He's got a 4th untapped land and a Snapcaster Mage, but because his removal's not Bolt, he just isn't able to remove the card he needs to remove.
Yeah, the Brutality doesn't play. The explosives can't be flashed back.
So instead, it's Tireless Tracker land making a clue.
a fine card. It applies good pressure in the other direction.
Yeah.
The redraws are pretty inefficient.
I don't mind the idea of getting a threat down here. It's fine. The problem is that Raja didn't make this play because it's the play he wanted. He made this play because his other options were bad.
Yep.
So Mantis Rider will knock down to 13. Colin's got to be wary. This tire tracker will keep drawing cards.
You also have to be a little mindful of things like Maelstrom Pulse if you're thinking about committing more Mantis Riders. You are playing against a green-black deck. There's one Pulse in the 75.
I actually think because there's no red cards, I would be more suspicious of Pulse, because you think the Smurge deck's got to get their kill spells from somewhere.
Right. It wouldn't be surprising if a deck like this played 2 or 3 copies of Pulse.
Yeah, whereas Jund plays 1. Like he's a lock to play 1. I could see up to 3.
Yep. Yeah, 0 would just be wild.
There's no way. I mean, he has to remove things. Yeah,
right.
And blue doesn't do that. Some good results for Raja. His teammate Zach Allen with blue-white Stoneblade takes game 1 over Dylan Kirkpatrick. Denying the sweep, so we have some split results on game 1s.
Yeah, blue-white, Zach Allen, presumably we're on some number of Caracas that can really give show and tell fits.
Yeah, no, it's just 1 anyway.
All right, that's also possible.
I agreed. I was looking forward to it. I was like, no, okay, it's in the sideboard.
We have 3.
But he just won game 1.
Wait, we have 3 basic planes and 0 Caracas?
No, it's on the board.
Come on. Come on. Well, you know, sometimes you need the 3rd basic plane.
We're not playing any Vendilion clicks. If they don't bring a legendary creature out, it's just dead.
Rats.
We just have these Stoneforges and Snapcasters.
3 basic planes?
I mean, I don't want to. I'm like pretty out on playing the first one.
That is so many basic planes.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the explanation, Ryan, is that he wants to play basic planes, and I know that's strange. I understand where that's confusing.
I don't understand that statement.
Yeah, he actively is choosing. He likes drawing basic planes.
It sounds like at least one of us is confused.
Kitesail Freebooter from Collins. That's gonna miss.
Yeah, Snapcaster Mage.
Second tracker.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of creatures. So the miss is good for Raja, except for the fact that now Collins says, all right, you have no removal. Image my Mantis Rider, hit you for 6, go to 10. Yeah, you can go tracker, play another land, do your thing.
Please don't draw Maelstrom Pulse. Going to be hard for Collins to lose if Raja does not present that exact card. I guess second explosive, so that cleans up the tracker. It's a little awkward.
Second explosives, yeah, that's probably, I mean, he'd do it.
Yeah, you can't just like not do that. The option
Land
is just
5.
to lose.
Another clue. Yeah, I mean, he's got this giant stack of clues.
Yeah, the redraw to try to find Maelstrom Pulse on this turn.
Sure. Swings with Tireless Tracker. Maybe Collins blocks.
There's no
way. This
no.
Is
You'll check your human's opponent. Collins is not the player that makes this block.
No, he needs a 20. He'll go to 17.
Especially because the freebooter represents the 7th damage that puts Raja to 3. So that sets you up so that you can draw another Mantis Rider. You see Snapcaster Mage for Collective Brutality. That does deal with the phantasmal imaged Mantis Rider. So that one's gone. So now Collins only has 4 power in the air.
Yeah, they are. Right, because it was a copied Mantis Rider, Collective Brutality actually did work as a removal spell. Do you think that Raja can just race back here, or do we still just have to find removal?
I think you need to find removal. And actually, I'm a little curious that Raja didn't escalate the Brutality to gain life.
Oh, here's something. All right, and this is a 2-turn clock now. Noble Hierarch, then Thalia's Lieutenant, pumping everything. So we see, to make that 6 in the air, Raja down to 4.
He needs a big draw step here, and there's diversified converted mana costs
Even
now.
if Raja had escalated, the clock would still be at 2 because of this draw.
Yeah, he's very far behind now.
Yeah, I do agree on the escalate play, Ryan. You see there's these 2 lands in Raja's hand now. You know, it probably should have happened. But I don't know that that's going to be one of those things that costs him. Draws a card off tracker. Okay, it's Fatal Push.
Sure, deal with the rider. But now you have an exalted, already 2-power freebooter that comes across for most of your life total.
Well, yeah, so you could play a land, crack a clue to get Revolt, because don't crack the fetch land.
Yeah, well, he's already cracked a clue, so you can just do that now.
Oh, right. It's just already Revolt on. Okay, we're playing, I think.
Yeah. Or land, crack, clue, push on Colin's turn to stop the exalted trigger, though the freebooter is lethal in 2 either way.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about how to win. We're talking about how to not lose immediately.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're going to have to draw more Fatal Pushes. Swamp into play, another clue. Now that Revolt has happened, it looks like Raj is going to go ahead and Fatal Push here. But that actually gives away an extra point of life.
Yeah, if you do it on Colin's turn, he'll attack with 2 creatures. The exalted won't happen on the freebooter.
Yeah.
You gain another life to crack that fetch land.
Yeah, I mean, you get to crack the fetch, which is actually pretty big. This was a misstep. Of course, anything like Thalia's Lieutenant just wins. We'll see what Collins hits.
Yeah, a couple minor errors, and this game really didn't allow a margin for error.
It still might, right? Like, if
there's still draw steps.
Yeah. He's not out of it. I mean, he's made it. He's taken away some percentage for sure. Thalia, that's probably fine.
Yeah, there's enough mana on the battlefield now. That's not a huge issue.
Pumps the Lieutenant, freebooter, swings, and this is the extra point we were talking about. Exalts, making it 3.
Actually, explosives would be an excellent draw here. Now there's just 3 2-mana creatures.
You always get explosives through Thalia.
Yeah, it's very easy to explosives through Thalia.
All lands for Raja so far.
Those won't do it.
So if he plays an untapped land here, he can crack 1 more clue, EE on 2, and crack it. Remember, EE doesn't actually... The Supreme Intersection Explosives doesn't cost more under Thalia. You just declare it for a smaller number and pay the extra.
Yeah, it's just Sunburst. It doesn't check the X. It's just mana paid. So there's some issue with that 1 more land. We have fetch lands and Blooming Marsh.
So this is that situation where because he gave away the extra life point, he just lost that out.
Yes.
And it's a small out. But it's... I mean, he could just draw into a removal spell, right? If he hits Maelstrom Pulse, then he doesn't lose immediately.
He needs that plus something, though.
Oh, gosh, he needs another mana.
The Hierarch are pumped by the Lieutenant, so that's just a lethal creature.
Draws off his clue. Here's Fatal Push. Does that do it?
You need Fatal Push plus something.
All 3 creatures are lethal?
Yeah, Collins just has to shove.
Ooh, that extra dropped life point, Ryan. If Raja was at 2, this Fatal Push would have kept him alive.
The 2 life off the Brutality, the 1 on the sequencing with the Fatal Push, those are coming up.
These matter, yeah. And so the issue now is he can remove the flyer with Fatal Push. But if Collins shoves all 3 creatures, we're done. Tapped Blooming Marsh gives another clue to Raja.
And we'll see.
Wait, he just says go.
What Collins does. If you,
I
like the pass here
good.
because if Collins just tries to exalt, you have the push. We'll see if Collins just shoves. If all 4 creatures turn sideways, that should lock it up.
By leaving up mana, you're making the lethal play harder to see.
Yeah.
Now, I bet Collins still sees it.
There's also some draw steps that just make this easy, like another freebooter. This
Phantasmal
image on the freebooter.
Yeah, so now you just look at the hand, and now we're not playing a guessing game. Now we're just like playing chess. You just get all the information, and you see, I gotcha.
Right. You probably have to push the freebooter in response to try to disguise your hand.
But with Thalia in play, Ryan, if you do that, you tap 2 mana, you make Fatal Push, you have 1 mana up in a Thalia. What's Collins going to play around?
That's a good point.
You can't play anything.
Yeah, this is game.
This is just tapping out. So he's going to push the freebooter. Okay, fine.
You're forcing Collins to see that, which he will. But
the play
the play makes sense. He's going to lose the game.
Counts as a probably copy lieutenant.
Yeah.
For round 5, our online are the post.
They will make my creatures large.
Once again,
I wouldn't copy Thalia.
classic players. Your appearance for
Probably
round
wouldn't
5
copy Noble Hierarch.
Copied Tireless Tracker, it looks like. But here's the swing, and Raja can't do it. Extends the hand, and Collins Mullen on humans. Some tight play there is rewarded. He just gets across the finish line.
Yeah, he...
Both games, really.
Yeah, one of the early players of this deck, an open champion with humans. Really impressive sequencing there. Was able to take it down.
All right, so those players shuffling now. We will have 2 matches remaining. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with the conclusion of the round.
Go.
We're back here. Collins Mullen picking up match win number 1. We're going to head over to the Legacy table where we got some Stoneforge Mystics. Stoneblade versus Sneak and Show. What year is it again?
I believe it's 2018, but
Yeah.
chronology is not my strong suit.
Got Dylan Kirkpatrick on the left. You might remember him 2 weeks ago making the finals. He's on Sneak and Show, but he's down a game. Playing a different blue-red combo deck. I can get behind doing that in every format.
This one commits a few fewer game actions.
See, picks up an Emrakul. He's got Emrakul Sneak Attack in hand. On the Stoneblade side, we have Basic Plains, Basic Island.
What do we got for counter suite in this deck? Obviously, we have Force Wills, a couple Fluster Storms.
It's going to matter in a second here. So Colin's about to make City of Traders, and he has Sneak Attack and Show and Tell in hand. So here's Show and Tell with Volcanic Island up. This might just force action.
I see what you did.
Yeah. Force of Will pitching Snapcaster Mage Zach to 18. But Dylan, he's got a blue mana, he's got a red mana. Any answers? No. Kind of expecting a Red Blast or a Pierce or something.
Yeah. You don't love pitching Snapcaster Mage to Force of Will because
Yeah.
you're pitching a 2-for-1 to 2-for-1 yourself, but you have to not lose the game. And the counterspell worked out there, and he has another Force of Will hanging out as well.
Yeah, and if Dylan makes a gameplay which gets the other Force of Will out of Zach's hand, Zach's going to be mostly out of cards. Here's land number 3, draws Basic Island, and he'll play Snapcaster Mage. Looks like he's trying to hit Ponder. Last 2 cards are True Name Nemesis, Force of Will.
Yeah, drawing a card definitely better than getting the true name on the battlefield, just because not being able to be targeted doesn't matter in the
Ryan, what do you
matchup.
think about this? A Spell Pierce on the Ponder. You almost feel like if the Spell Pierce was there, it would have been played last turn. Oh no, he had 2 mana up. That's why he doesn't play it. Right.
Yeah.
Force of Will doesn't cost any mana. That's
Correct.
right. I don't know.
You do almost feel like
It feels like it's Dispel, you know? We're not used to these 1-mana counters actually having a fail case.
Yeah.
Taps 2, floats 2, City of Traders. Makes Ancient Tomb. Emrakul, Cunning Wish, Sneak Attack. For Dylan. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go for Sneak Attack. That should get the last Force of Will out of your hand.
Yeah, that's a Hymn to Torok.
And it does. Zach, out of cards.
That would have been a nice one to
Don't
Spell
spells go.
Pierce. Yeah, Dylan read Zach for not having Force of Will blue card, and Spell Piercing that Ponder did punish him a bit there.
Zach playing off the top. Hits for 2, says go. Let's look over at the Cunning Wish options for Dylan Kirkpatrick. Looks like he is playing that. We see
Searing Wind. Firemind's Foresight.
Whoa, so another sneak attack, show and tell drawn for Dylan, but Zach had top decked Flusterstorm.
Yikes.
Wow. I like Through the Breach a fair amount, and Dylan top decks sneak attack. He's just going to keep... You don't need Cunning Wish when you keep drawing the combo piece.
I'm just going to keep shoving you.
You can't... All right. Does Zach play Wasteland? Can he waste him off the red?
I mean, he has a Pithing Needle on his sideboard. There's no Wasteland. You have to make room for the third basic plane somehow. There's no Wastelands in the deck.
Well, it is. Yeah, it's a sneak attack. So Caracas, because there's only single red, could actually hold off this for a bit.
Yeah.
You see Surgical Extraction and Council's Judgment, all those options here.
The Surgical would have been nice after he countered the first sneak attack.
Oh, wait, there's Tundra. There's Tundra. Hold on. He has an answer.
Yeah, Judgment the sneak attack.
Oh, he is hanging on. He is hanging on.
I will vote for sneak attack.
And you know, this Ancient Tomb damage is adding up, Ryan.
Yeah, it's just a turn of Snapcaster Mage
yeah,
attacks
he's down
every
to
time.
8. Well, I wanted to see through, like, Ancient Tomb Cunning Wish through the breach, except that we're getting to the point where you have to stop tapping that
This
land.
is the last possible turn you can Cunning Wish for Through the Breach with using the Ancient Tomb for both spells.
Yeah. So it's another update, people hanging on. Steven Dykman takes game 2 over on the standard table. All right, Zach still playing off the top. He's drawn answers so far. Hits Dylan down to 6. See, Dylan he has Flusterstorm Cunning Wish. He's going to get this to resolve. Did I think you're Cunning Wish for... I mean, you usually, right? You just like have to get the Through the Breach. I mean, you can get like a braid for the Snapcaster.
Not loving that line.
You braid the Snapcaster. We'll draw a combo at some point.
Yeah. Well, glad we dealt with the threat.
I'm playing Control
at the low price of 4 life.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's only 2. The Abrade can be cast off of Volk Island.
Yeah. Come on, he's at 4.
That's great.
Easy.
So easy.
Dylan consulting with Collins Mullen. The problem is he doesn't have the 5th mana yet for Through the Breach. So if he goes to that play, he also has to top deck the land.
Yes. What else is he doing?
Wishing for a removal spell.
He's already cast 3 sneak attacks? Or two shows, 2 sneaks?
Yeah. Well, he has more wishes. 2 wishes would be left. And an intuition. But wait. He's cast 1 wish, 2... Intuition might not work.
2 shows, you can find two of one and one of the other.
As long as
you
you're
still
not
get
picky about which one you get.
Yeah. So you might not be fine using the Ancient Tomb to cast them.
Yeah. Surgical Extraction on Show and Tell. Okay, that's gonna... There are none in his hand. That's gonna take away the ability to Intuition. There's only 2 sneak attacks left in the deck?
Yep. Pretty sure we're just going to see Cunning Wish for Through the Breach. Zach has gone to 15.
Can he wish for
Just Emrakul that. Now remember, there was a time where you could wish for cards that were exiled.
Yeah, like these Show and Tells could be gotten.
Right. Now it's only cards in your sideboard.
Okay. There's separate exile zones.
Right.
All right.
Outside the game means literally one of the up to 15 cards in your sideboard.
There's the exile zone, then there's the super not in this game zone.
Well,
then there's like
exiled is outside of the game, sideboard's outside of the game, your trade binder's outside of the game.
Yeah, but
running to the vendor and buying a silver bullet is outside the game, but the rules for tournament Magic have a very specific definition.
There's the exile zone, then there's the really not coming back zone, then there's the this is really not in the game zone, and then there's the other cards I own zone.
What's the text on AWOL from Unhinged? It's the absolutely removed from the freaking game.
From the game, this stuff's not coming back zone.
Yeah.
Gets Through the Breach. Okay, that's the line we saw here. He's at 4. He's going to go to 2 to cast Through the Breach. He's got a turn to draw land.
Lotus Petal does it.
Like Ancient Tomb. And he hits. It's Scalding Tarn.
With 1 life. Fetches down to 3. Ancient Tomb is down to 1. And this Emrakul is exactly lethal.
Through the Breach, Emrakul swing. Game 3, Dylan Kirkpatrick and Zach Allen. What a hit there.
Yeah.
So they are going to 3.
Yeah, went through a lot of the sneak attacks and show and tells, but Cunning Wish came through, had exactly enough time with the Ancient Tomb.
All right, so that's going to come on. We have a pair of game threes. Allen and Dykman need both of them. We'll be back in just 1 minute with the conclusion of the round. All right, so game number 3, Sneak and Show versus Stoneblade. On the way, you see right now Raj Sulaiman consulting with teammate Steven Dykman. They need both wins here.
Yes.
Please report to table 356.
Collins Mullen very quickly winning the modern match.
If you signed up for Commander Pod number 6, your event is ready to begin. Please come back to the side event registration stage.
And we went over Raja.
To the left side of the stage. Again, if you signed up for Commander Pod number 6, your event is ready to begin.
This one about to
Please
finish.
come
No
back
one's even trying to
side
play
event
Legacy.
registration
This match
stage.
probably Matt is the one that
12
matters.
p.m. Modern Challenge players, your next round pairings are posted at the gathering point. Please.
Like, is Austin about to win? Like, the reason Legacy players aren't presenting doing anything.
So players kind of
Because they're like,
looking in the standard match. That one is also in game 3. Could be seeing a conclusion there. If Austin Collins wins that, that will be the match. Collins Mullen has won the match.
okay.
And players presented. We're seeing some quick shuffling, and we'll be drawing up opening 7 shortly. Zach Allen on the play after losing game 2. Certainly where you want to be.
It looks like he had it, Ryan.
It certainly did. There was a lot of top decks going back and forth.
Yeah, both players are drawing really well.
The show and tells, the sneak attacks, the answers for both.
We look at this: 3 lands, Jace, Ponder, Ponder, and then he's got one of the invocations. Lands, Ponders, yeah, it's a key. Top 3 on the Ponder. Island, no, 3 basic islands. No.
No, thank you.
Nope.
Yeah, had plenty of land in hand already, and this hand, it looks like it's missing disruption. You want to keep this because you're heavy on Ponder and you get to look, but this hand needs to find something. Kirkpatrick's deck generally presents a very fast combo.
Usually it asks a question of you on turn 2. You should have something when they do.
Yeah, and in your situation where if you're not playing into literal blue-blue counterspell mana, all of the counterspell exchanges are generally just good for Kirkpatrick. If you're pitching a card for Force of Will, we have something like Flusterstorm and he's not breaking through anyway.
Can I bring Jace to show and tell?
And we have Preordain coming down here for Kirkpatrick.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Jace, though Caracas is an answer to show and tell, if your opponent's bringing Emrakul, Jace does not work. Show and tell was printed before Planeswalkers were a thing.
Long before Planeswalkers were a thing.
The idea of like, oh, I'll put in Emrakul, I'll put in Jace. That would be nice, but is not how it works. Also, Dylan has picked up Omniscience in his hand. So
he scried 2 to the top there with the Preordain.
You really hate to see that when you play against a combo.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, 2 top. Oh boy, I better have something really soon.
I hope that it was just 2 cantrips and you decided that that was fine.
And we see the Caracas for Zach Allen. Is that? I'm not saying. I'm unclear.
I think that's a fetch land.
Okay, so we'll go with Brainstorm from Dylan. Either way, Caracas isn't going to solve a problem here because of the Omniscience.
Correct.
That's your defense against Karakas.
Yeah,
You actually just cast the Emrakul.
Yeah, against the deck that's going to Karakas, you Omniscience, cast Emrakul, get the extra turn trigger, shove with Annihilator.
Ryan, how do you feel about people saying Omniscience instead of Omniscience?
You can do whatever you want, man.
Full Brainstorm, cracks the fetch afterward.
I think the question is how funny or clever do they think they are? If you're doing it
terribly clever.
If you're doing it to mock people that say that and think that they're
no,
funny,
I'm really proud.
That's the level I want to be. If you're proud about that, I think you should dream bigger. I think you could be doing more with your life if we're proud about that joke.
All right. I ruined it by saying it on air. Now you can't. So now it's like not original. Here's Ponder.
That one's been around for a while.
Oh, I know. I didn't come up with it.
This Ponder is looking at 3 spells. Looks like a Force of Will in there. Protecting your combo is usually pretty important.
Yeah, and it's one of those games where they go preordained, top, draw, Ponder, keep 3, draw.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, after a full brainstorm, you're like, oh, I bet your hand's probably good by now. And by it's probably great. I'm about to get comboed, and I bet you're going to defend it.
If your hand is bad, you screwed up.
Yeah.
We see basic planes showing up for Zach Allen here. Interesting prioritizing basic lands in this matchup. Well, you're not going to get wastelanded by the Sneak and Show player.
Do they Blood Moon you, or do they back to basics you?
Sometimes they Blood Moon you, but he's got 100 planes. He's got Counterspell on his deck. He has another fetch land in hand.
Ryan, he chose to play planes. He wants to draw it. So that means you want to fetch it, you want to draw it, you want planes.
Yeah, you go for the third one so you can find it. A Containment Priest showing up here.
Oh, hey, I do like that one a lot.
Yes.
That's good here. Yeah, Dylan's going to read it as well. Okay.
So this doesn't turn off Show and Tell for Omniscience.
Omniscience, right. That's the key.
Sorry, Omniscience.
All the science will still commence.
Your Containment Priest does nothing to all the science that ever was.
Right, but if it really limits what Dylan can do in that regard. He's got to get the Omniscience into play now. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield without casting it, and Dylan doesn't cast his creatures, then it's exiled instead. Also, this is a 2/2.
Yeah, there's a few answers in the wish board that deal with Containment Priest, and this is certainly one of the cards you have in mind looking at that. You have some Kozilek's returns, or just one rather, and then a Braid.
Hey, Ron, I think we do have with those basics, there are Blood Moons in Dylan's board, and Zach surgically extracted him last game. So if he saw the Blood Moon while doing it, that would explain why he's playing this way.
Sure. Honestly, I think it's incorrect for Dylan to have them in.
But if they're there,
I suppose
if you
know about them, you should pay them respect.
Yeah, it doesn't cost too much, right?
Right. Tundra is just so much better than Plains. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it makes blue mana. That should be clear.
I mean, like, obviously Tundra is worse than Island, but it's better than Plains.
Well, there's a Tundra.
There you go.
Let's go.
Yeah, kind of the issue that I'm having here is that this mana can't cast Counterspell proper, so there's just less that Dylan has to worry about here.
All right, here we go. Lotus Petal from Dylan. Cracks Lotus Petal. Show and Tell.
You don't want to get Flusterstormed here.
And we're going to see if they want to play through this turn. It may not matter. I believe Austin Collins just won in Standard. We're going to play out the turn, though. Here is Force of Will on Show and Tell.
Yeah. Basically, we know that Dylan's going to force back. The question is, does Zach have either another force or a Flusterstorm? A Flusterstorm would be great here, but the Force of Will is not enough.
Force is back. Nothing but lands on Zach's side. It says, go for it. Sure, I will.
What are you
You're not going to like this. Yeah, I'm not bringing a creature. I see your Containment Priest.
You want to put it in a land? You can put it in a land.
You can have Followed Fountain.
Probably not Hollowed Fountain.
Not Hollowed Fountain.
Flooded Strand.
There we go. How about Omniscience, though?
I will cast
an enchantment.
Emrakul.
I'm going to cast this. I'm going to take another turn.
Team open players.
Is that cool?
And
okay, my turn.
That's a 3-0 sweep.
Now I'm going to take all your permanents. Our team's already won, but I'm going to win this one, too. Dylan Kirkpatrick's got it in Legacy as well, defeating Zach Allen. 3-0. They get all the matches, and they are your winners.
Yeah. Really impressive stuff.